Well, hello, Connected Yoga Teacher Group. I'm Chris Scott. This is Phoebe the Weenie. And we are on here live to talk about some Insta growth tips. So, in one of Shannon's previous podcast episodes recently, she talked to a guy named Daniel, and he gave you a lot of great Instagram tips. And so, she suggested I jump on here and give you some of my tips. So that's what is happening tonight. I've got my glass of wine. It is Wednesday. So I'm not like some ridiculous Instagram like success story, but I did just start focusing on growing my Instagram about 6 months ago, and I haven't tried super hard. I'm not on there 24/7, but I have learned some things along the way, and I've gone from about 200 followers to 2,300 followers, which may or may not seem like a lot to you, but my engagement rate is very high, which means that I am engaging with my community, which means that my community is engaging with me. And so I have influence in this community of people that, I've kind of created on Instagram. So I've got some tips that I've implemented and I think would help you out if you're seeking to grow your brand, yourself on Instagram, promote your whole little yoga thing you got going on. So let's jump into those tips. If you are on Instagram, I am Yogi Van Ween, and I left a link below, I believe. I will also leave it in the comments. I guess I can't. Can I leave a comment? Yeah. This is a link that's going to send you to my website where I have all the links that I talk about tonight that are going to help you grow your Instagram. So go to my website with that link right there that I left, and that will give you all the links that you need to really help you grow your Instagram. Shh, baby. Okay, so tip number 1, and this is like the major one. We're going to talk about this for a while, and then at the end, I'm going to give you some general Instagram growth tips. So tip number 1 is to understand your Instagram analytics. If you're trying to grow on Instagram and you're not tracking your numbers, it's really hard to set goals, to track your progress, to even know if you are really growing a community if you're not understanding your Instagram analytics. If you're not understanding your Instagram analytics, then you're not going to be able to track your growth. So in order to understand your Instagram analytics, I suggest you follow Later Media on Instagram. They are an official Instagram partner, and I am subscribed to their email list. So every time they come out with a new blog post about like how to up your Insta story game or whatever, they send me an email about it. So the great thing about following Later Media is that they are in the know about all the Instagram trends, because Instagram is constantly changing, so they are in the know about all of that. So follow Later Media. And Later Media, like I said, they give you tutorials on like how to switch to your Insta business profile, and I've got little notes here, sorry. Anyway, so which leads me to my next tip. So if you want to track your Instagram analytics, you have to switch to an Instagram business profile. There's nothing wrong with switching to an Instagram business profile. You're not going to like lose a bunch of followers and all this stuff by switching to an Instagram business profile. But if you want to track your analytics, you've got to switch to the Insta business profile. And Later Media has a tutorial about how to switch to a business profile. So another reason why you need to follow them. I have a link below for switching to the tutorial for switching to an Insta business profile. Stop eating your butt, Phoebe. And so some reasons why you'd want to switch to an Insta business profile and start following your analytics. So in your analytics, you're going to learn things about your ideal client, about who is this community that you've created. So you're going to learn things like what their gender is, what their location is, when are they on Instagram. So you're going to learn when the best time to post is, when you're going to get the most engagement. Also things like, you know how you get 30 hashtags on when you post on there? Well, sometimes you're like, I'm wondering, like, are my hashtags working? Well, in your Instagram analytics, which you need an Insta business profile to have those analytics, you're going to figure out which hashtags are actually getting you more visibility. So that's awesome because so you know which hashtags to keep using, essentially. Let's see what else. And also, like, in your Instagram analytics, you're gonna be able to learn what photos that you're posting are really resonating with your audience. So I was kind of wondering the same thing myself, and I noticed that the photos that really resonated with my audience the most were the ones where I was in the photo, Phoebe was in the photo, and I was on my paddleboard, because I love yoga, but I also love paddleboarding. So, and that's kind of true for usually most Instagram accounts. People love seeing you. They love seeing your face. You know, they don't want a picture of your granola bar. They want a picture of you eating your granola bar. You know what I'm saying? So, wine, sorry. Anyways, that's what you're going to get from your Instagram analytics. There's lots of other things you're going to get from your Instagram analytics, but those are just some of the reasons why you should switch to an Insta profile and get those analytics. So then also the Instagram analytics is going to give you the numbers to calculate your engagement rate. And if you don't know what an engagement rate is the percentage of engagement. So your likes and your comments that you're getting on your Instagram posts. So this is important because if your audience isn't engaging with you, or that's how you're going to know whether or not your audience is engaging with you or not, by actually calculating your engagement rate. And it's nice to know, I've got a pretty good engagement rate. Like my audience is engaging with me. And if they are engaging with you, you know what that means? That you have influence in your community. They care about what you're talking about. They care about the content that you're creating. So by getting that engagement rate, you're going to either see, okay, I need to start working on growing that engagement rate. So it's going to give you a tangible goal to set, or it's going to validate the fact that, you know, you have a pretty good engagement rate, and you're going to be able to just track your growth more from there. So there, I left some links in this, that little link I left below there. There are some links in that article that talk about Instagram analytics and how to calculate your engagement rate. So your engagement rate is calculated for every post. So not just your overall engagement rate. It's like, how was my engagement rate on this last post and stuff like that. Lately, my engagement rate has gone down because I've been super busy. So I haven't been engaging with my community as much. So when I'm not engaging, they're not going to be engaging back as much. You see what I'm saying? And engagement is important. We all know that, because that's how you're engage. That's how you're going to build your community. That's how you're going to build people who trust you, who love you, who see you as an authority in your space. Okay, so I'm off of the Instagram analytics now, and these are just some general Instagram tips that I have for you. So the most obvious one is, if you're on Instagram and you are posting dark, grainy photos, that's where you got to start. That's where you got to start thinking about some changes. You got to have well-lit photos. And when your photos are well-lit, they won't be as grainy. So you want something eye-catching, you know? That's my first tip. My next tip is to batch your photos. So sometimes you might feel like you're just scrambling for a good photo. Oh, I don't have a good photo. Well, if you batch your photos, you're like, oh, I'm going on an outing soon, and there's going to be all sorts of good stuff to take pictures of, or I'm going to be eating here, or I'm going to be doing this fun thing. Make sure you get good photos of all that stuff, and then you just batch it. You use that photo for your post tomorrow, and then you use one of those photos from your outing, 3 days later. You know what I'm saying? So group your photos together, batch them. don't just try to like scramble to take a good picture like 20 minutes before you have to post. And then another tip is to schedule your posts. So Later Media also helps you with scheduling your posts. They will like auto publish your post for you. They'll let you create your post and then schedule when you want to post it. So if you're a really organized person, which I am not, and I'm not very regimented, I'm working on it. But if you are a very organized person, this is for you, because you can, on Monday, you can schedule all your Instagram posts and then just totally forget about it. On Later, I think there's like 2 features. It's like you can schedule it and then Later will remind you when to post it, and you just click post. That's the free option, or like the auto publish option, I think you have to pay for. It'll actually post the post for you at the time that you scheduled. Okay, so the next thing is to make the most of your profile description. So on your profile, that's where you've got your name, you've got that you're like a yoga teacher, and then you've got things like avocado lover, hedgehog mom. No, that's not what you want to have in your profile description. This is your prime real estate. You've got to use all those words to the best of your ability. You have to have a call to action, have your mission statement. How are you going to be helping your potential audience, your potential clients? You want that in your profile description. So like things like, I say stuff like, I help you increase your health span, and then my call to action is begin your wellness with a little arrow, and that is the link that they click below. So stuff like that. You don't want to like fill it up with like unicorn comic fanatic, like people are going to get to know you through your highlights. They can get to know you through your highlights. Use those words for more important things. And a great person to kind of further, if you want to dive deeper into souping up your Insta profile a little more, follow Rachel Bell on Instagram. I have a link below for that in that little blog post I put on my website. Rachel Bell, if you go to her highlights, she has a highlight called audits, and she shows examples. She shows examples of people's Instagrams that have asked her to check out their Instagram and then audit what they think. Audit, I'm a little confused right now. Anyway, so she shows other people's Instagram and she shows you all the suggestions she has for those people's Instagrams for them to fix. So that'll give you a better idea of how you can fix your profile. Okay, and then call to action on all your posts. So you post a picture, like I post a picture of my wiener dog. I'm on a paddleboard or something, and then at the end of the I say like happy weekend, blah, 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 and then at the end of the post I say, what are you doing this weekend? So by adding a call to action on my post, I'm like increasing my chances of people engaging with me. So if they engage with me, that gives me more opportunities to connect with them, and increases my engagement rate. And another reason to increase your engagement rate is because that gives you a number that if you're trying to be an influencer in your space, that gives you a number to show to your sponsors that, hey, I've got this awesome engagement rate with my group of people. Like, do you want to like be my sponsor or whatever? Okay, so ask them their opinion about something, and then I would also like to clarify that your Insta feed is really where you're going to get more new followers, and your Insta stories is where you're going to engage with your already followers. So Insta stories more like your everyday, like people are checking out your everyday routine, stuff like that. And your Insta feed is kind of more polished, and that's where you're going to really create that eye-catching post that's going to draw more community in for you. And so that's pretty much it. Most importantly, engage. And I think the major takeaway here is to really start to understand your Instagram analytics, things like impressions, all that great stuff. So I've got links to all the articles that you need to watch, all there on the little blog post I did on my website, which I left a link below for there. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you are maybe enjoying a wonderful Wednesday evening. I hope you enjoy your wonderful Wednesday evening. And if you liked my tips, feel free to check me out at Yogi Van Ween. Yogi, the word van, and then the word ween, W-E-E-N, on Instagram, or I'm also on YouTube. I post videos regularly on YouTube at Got Yoga, G-O-T-T-E, which that G-O-T-T-E, that's my last name. So it was fun hanging out with y'all, and I'll talk to you later. Feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I'm all about direct messages. I love actually meeting people that I talk with on Instagram in person. So have a good night.